Hi, my name is David Jim. I study global management studies at the Ted School of Management at Toronto Metropolitan University. I'm also representing the Global Management Students Association. My question is that Canada has the geology to become a mining superpower, but overseas, Australia has a more aggressive fiscal toolkit. China is locking up global supply through overseas acquisition, and Indonesia has built unparalleled scale and cost advantages in nickel. In a multipolar system like this, what is Canada's realistic competitive?
Does someone want to take the first crack at answering how Canada will compete on the global stage? We've got competing with Indonesia in nickel, with Australia for the incentives they're providing for exploration.
Well, I'll start. I mean, I've been to a lot of these places. Or first and foremost, when you talk about trying to compete, let's say with Australia, they're good explorers. They're good miners. They know what they do. I remember sitting underground in a mine in Australia, and somebody asked me, "What did you think?" I said, "Well, if I close my ears and I open my eyes, they're doing exactly the same kind of work, even something better than we do." So, in terms of what they do in processes, they're really good at it. The mineral endowment is pretty strong in Australia. And there's lots of exploration, and yeah, they explore well, and they have lots of potential. But so do we at Canada. We're good at what we do. We have good technical people. We have good operating people. We have good work ethic, similar to what I would talk about in Mexico. I think what will separate us, allow us to compete, is, again, we recognize we can't just be like Australia ships almost 1 billion tons of iron ore off the west coast to Asia. And they ship about 800 million tons of coal off the East Coast. And we always kidded them one time the world's going to flip upside down. The South Pole is going to be the North Pole. But the point of it all is, if we stay as just a primary resource developer and producer and ship all our concentrates and our products somewhere else, then we lose track with all the other opportunities. So how do we separate ourselves? Again, I'll go back, and we got to vertically integrate our business. We got to go back to building smelters and refineries. We can do it clean. We can do it properly, and then invest in other industries that are the byproducts of that. We have all the minerals here. We can take all the minerals and we can make our own products. All the minerals to build batteries are in Canada, but we don't build any batteries in Canada. We ship all this stuff to China, and they build the batteries.
Shastri, Mario, go ahead.
I really think it comes down to how we basically advertise ourselves to the world for global investment. This might not be a popular answer, but I think we need to be showing how much potential there is for, I'm going back to discovery again, and for mineral development projects. We should be attracting capital to Canada, and we need to show how much opportunity there is here. If you look at some of Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, how many greenstone belts are sitting there completely unexplored? There's elephants in those greenstone belts, and we don't put it out. We don't open it up and advertise that we're open for business enough. And we want other foreign money being spent in our countries for the benefit of Canadians, and that will help us make discoveries and get access to metals that we want, that are controlled by our country.
Great.
Sure. If David's listening, my answer to his question would be very simple. If part of the question says, China's locking up global supply through overseas acquisition, right? So today we announced, I like to take credit for it, I have nothing to do with it, but the new fund, sovereign fund of $25 billion. Those are the steps that we need to do. If Canada is going to be competitive, and I touched on a point I made earlier, before we go and become global experts in exporting our services, we have to look in the mirror and say we have a lot of work to do internally. From the federal level, the provincial level, as an industry, we have a lot of work to do. Why Canada over Indonesia? All these young folks have YouTube. Do your own research. Canada is one of the most ethical producers of nickel. You ask what our advantage is? We respect the communities that we work in. We respect the people that work for us in the communities. We respect the environment, and we're producing high-grade nickel. So what gives us our advantage is that we produce Canadian nickel.
Right. I was just going to add, from a capital perspective, you look right now at the world and where capital is being raised around the world, almost all the mining capital now is being raised either in Canada or Australia, and London's not very active in that market anymore. And we were proud to announce a transaction last week that allows us to, we've acquired or at least announced a transaction to acquire an exchange in Australia, and the potential to unite both of these, places in terms of access to capital and liquidity for the Canadian market.